My name is Hannah Rodriguez. I'm a student at Liberty University, and I'm reviewing Little Moon of Alban, produced by the Liberty University Department of Theater Arts in Lynchburg, Virginia. I viewed this in the Black Box Theater on Friday, November 19th, 2021. When I entered the theater, it was clear that most of the audience knew close to nothing about the play, and that most of their knowledge was from the program. The audience was curious and unsuspecting, since most people had not seen the show before. I was not prepared for the emotional performance given by the cast, which was directed by Andy Gefkin. The sets, which were designed by Connie Hecker and built by master carpenter Daniel Hayden, included 2 brick buildings on center stage left and center stage right. The small orchestra, directed by Neil Brasher, was seated on top of the brick building on stage right. The set would lead someone to think the play was in a city setting. Throughout the first act, the set changes several times to show the varying locations of an alley in Dublin, the Mangan home, a street outside a church, the inside of the church, and a bedroom inside of the walls of the church. In the opening scene, Dennis Walsh, played by Logan Poulsen, and Patch Keegan, played by Aaron Hall, were listening for a signal and had to crawl through a trap door on the stage right set piece, where the orchestra was seated. They used a total of 4 wooden crates to climb up and even made a joke about not using the potty chair, which was hidden behind the crates because it had a hole in it. In the scene where Bridget Mary Mangan, played by Grace Erhorn, and her mother Sheila Mangan, played by Jordan Prather, celebrated Dennis's birthday, some scenic details included wooden furniture that was characteristic of the time, a real candlestick, a tablecloth, and a black and white photo of Bridget's deceased father and brother. The set also included a taller set piece with a door that was the entrance to the church where Dennis died and where Bridget Mary decided to join the Daughters of Charity. In Dennis's death scene inside the church, there was a table with fake prayer candles on downstage left. When Bridget Mary refuses to go home with her mother, there is a bed next to a window on a wall that was attached to a nightstand where she would later mention that she could see the little moon. In the second act, the main set is at the English hospital. The church bedroom setting is reused as a hospital room when a canvas orange divider is added. There were also 3 beds that were places for 3 wounded soldiers, played by Jeremiah Smith, Keelan Burns, and Ben Perry, to recover from their injuries. The church entrance reappears as well when it becomes the doors to Lieutenant Kenneth Boyd's surgery. Boyd was played by Seth Summers. Several of the moments between Boyd and Bridget Mary happened on a stone bench outside of the hospital. The costumes created by head costume designer Lynn Forth were characteristic of early 1920s Irish attire. For the Sisters of Charity, there were white head coverings, and both the Daughters and Sisters of Charity wore dark blue and white uniforms. The priests wore all black clergy attire, including a black hat, which Patch would use to sneak into the church so he could speak to Bridget Mary before she took her vows. The sisters that worked in the hospital wore aprons over their attire. Women wore long dresses that were duller in color. The Irish men wore red scarves over brown and gray loose-fitting suits. The black and tans, who wore British soldiers, wore combat-style boots and loose tan pants with grayish-green jackets and hats. The wounded soldiers wore pajamas, robes, and slippers. In the beginning of the play, the protagonist Bridget Mary also wears a silver engagement ring. By the end of the play, Bridget Mary is not wearing her ring. The overall conflict is between the Irish and the English, as well as a spiritual and emotional battle for Bridget Mary. The lighting director, Barry Gowinski, made some strong choices with the opening background that was not overpowering to the play and that matched the themes. Before the show, the dark background helped the distorted Irish flag image stand out. Gowinski used the shadowing from the steel netting in the spy space to help create the distorted look of the Ireland flag with streaks of green, white, and orange. The light blue, orange, and warm white gels were used as the basic wash of the show. In moments where Bridget Mary was praying, there was a spotlight on her and a blue wash or no lighting in the rest of the theater space. This highlighted the intimacy between her and God. Although Little Moon of Alban was set about 100 years ago, many of the issues are still relevant to current times. There's a lot of division because of religious beliefs, specifically in the Christian faith. This show parallels many of these differences.